Hello everybody, today Hani is going to read Matilda by Roald Dahl and illustrated by Quentin Blake. Bruce Brook Trotter and the Cake. How can she get away with it? Lavender said to Matilda. Surely the children go home and tell their mothers and fathers. I know my father would raise a terrific stink if I told him the headmistress had grabbed me by the hair and slung me over the playground fence. No, he wouldn't, Matilda said, but I tell you why. He simply wouldn't believe you. Of course he would. He wouldn't, Matilda said, and the reason is obvious. Your story would sound too ridiculous to be believed. That is the Trunchbull's great secret. What is it? What is? Lavender asked. Matilda said, never do nothing by halves if you want to get away with it. Be outrageous. Go to the whole hog. Make sure everything you do is completely crazy. It's unbelievable. No parent is going to believe this pigtail story, not a million years. Mine wouldn't. They'd call me a liar. In that case, Lavender said, Amanda's mother isn't going to cut her pigtails off. No, she isn't, Matilda said. Amanda will do it herself. If you see if she doesn't. Do you think she's mad? Lavender asked. Who? The Trunchbull. No, I don't think that she's mad, Matilda said, but she's very dangerous. Being in this school is like being in a cage with a cobra. You have to be very fast on your feet. They got another example of how dangerous the headmistress could be on the very next day. During the lunch, an announcement was made that the whole school should go to the assembly hall and be seated as soon as the meal was over. And when all the 250 or so boys and girls were seated down in the assembly, the Trunchbull marched onto the platform. None of the other teachers came in with her. She was carrying a riding crop in one hand. She stood up there like on the center stage, with her green breeches, with legs apart and riding crop in hand, glaring at the sea of upturned faces before her. What's going to happen? Lavender whispered. I don't know, Matilda whispered back. The whole school waited for what was coming next. Bruce Bogtrotter! Trunchbull barked suddenly. Where is Bruce Bogtrotter? A hand shot up among the seated children. Come up here, the Trunchbull shouted, and look smart about it. Stand! The 11-year boy was who decidedly large and round stood up and wildly reached forward. He climbed on the platform. Stand over there, the Trunchbull ordered, pointing. The boy stood to one side. He looked nervous. He knew very well he wasn't up there to be presented with a prize. He was watching the headmistress with an exceedingly weary eye, and he kept edging further and further away from her with a little shuffles of his feet. But a rat might edge from a terrier that is watching it from across the room. His plump, flabby face was turned grey with fearful apprehension. His socks hung about his ankles. This cloth, boomed the headmistress, pointing the riding crop at him like a rapier. This blackhead, the foul carbuncle, this poisonous perskull that you see before you in none other than a disgusting criminal, a denizen of the underworld, a member of the mafia. Who? Me? Bruce Bogtrotter said, looking genuinely puzzled. A thief, the Trunchbull screamed. A crook, a pirate, a brigand, a rustler. Steady on, the boy said. I mean, dash it all, headmistress. You denied it, you miserable little gumboil. Do you plead now guilty? I don't know what you're talking about, the boy said, more puzzled than ever. I'll tell you what I'm talking about, you suppurating little blister, the Trunchbull shouted. Yesterday morning, during break, you sneaked like a servant into the kitchen and stir a slice of my private chocolate cake from my tea tray. The tray was being prepared for me personally by the cook. It was my morning snack. And as for the cake, it was my own private smoke. It's not a boy's cake. You don't think for 1 minute I'm going to eat the filth I gave to you? That cake was made from real butter and real cream. And he, the rubble bandit, the safe cracker, the highwayman standing over there in his socks around his ankles, stole it and ate it. I never did, the boy exclaimed, turning from grey to white. Don't lie to me, bog trotter, barked the Trunchbull. The cook saw you. What's more, she saw you eating it. The Trunchbull paused with a white fleck of froth from her lips. When she spoke again, her voice was suddenly softer, quieter, and more friendly, and she leaned forward the boy, smiling. Do you like my special chocolate cake, don't you, Bog Trotter? It's rich and delicious, isn't it, Bog Trotter? Very good, the boy mumbled. The words were out before he could stop himself. You're right, the Trunchbull said. It is very good. Therefore, I think you have congratulate the cook. When the gentleman has finished a particularly good meal, Butcher, he always sends his compliments to the chef. You didn't know that, did you, Butcher? But those who inhabit the criminal underground are not noted for their good manners. The boy remained silent. Cook! The Trunchbull shouted, turning her head towards the door. Come here, cook! Bog Trotter wishes to tell you how good your chocolate cake is. The cook, a tall, shoveled female who looked as though all her body juices had been dried up from her long ago in hot oven, walking on the platform wearing dirty white apron. Her entrance had clearly been arranged beforehand by the headmistress. Now then, Bog Trotter, the Trunchbull boomed, tell cook what you think of her chocolate cake. Very good, the boy mumbled. You could see he was now beginning to wonder what it was leading up to. The only thing he knew for certain that the law forbade the Trunchbull to hit him with the riding crop that he kept smoking against her thigh. That was some comfort, but not much because the Trunchbull was terribly unpredictable. No one never knew what she was going to next. There you are, cook, the Trunchbull cried. Bog Trotter likes your cake. He adores your cake. Do you have any more of your cake to give in? I do indeed, the cook said. She seemed to have learned her lines by heart. Then go and get it, and bring a knife to cut it with. The cook disappeared. Almost at once she was back again, scurrying under the weight of the enormous round chocolate cake on a china platter. The cake was brown chocolate cake. The cake was fully 18 inches in diameter, and it was covered with dark brown chocolate icing. Put it down on the table, the Trunchbull said. There was a small table, center stage, with a chair behind it. The cook replaced the cake carefully on the table. Sit down, Bog Trotter, the Trunchbull said. Sit there. The boy moved cautiously to the table and sat down. He started to stare at the gigantic cake. There you are, Bog Trotter, the Trunchbull said, and once again her voice became soft, for sensitive, even gentle. It's all for you, every bit of it. As you enjoyed the slice you had yesterday so very much, I ordered cook to bake an extra large one all for yourself. Well, thank you, the boy said, totally bemused. Thank cook, not me, the Trunchbull said. Thank you, cook, the boy said. The cook stood there like a shriveled bootlace, tight-lipped, incapable, disapproving. She looked at her Her mouth was full of lemon juice. "Come on then," the Trunchbull said. "Why don't you cut yourself a nice thick slice and try it?" "What now?" the boy asked, cautious. He knew there would catch in there somewhere, but he wasn't sure there. "Can't I take it home instead?" he asked. "That would be impolite," the Trunchbull said, with a crack-free grin. "You must show Cookie how grateful you are for the trouble she's taken." The boy didn't move. "Go on, get on with it," the Trunchbull said. "Cut a slice and taste it. We haven't got all day." The boy picked up the knife and about to cut into the cake when he stopped. He stared at the cake, then he looked at the Trunchbull. Then the tall, strange cook with a lemon-juice mouth. All the children in the hall were watching tensely, waiting for something to happen. They felt something it must. The Trunchbull was not a person who would give someone a whole chocolate cake to eat just out of kindness. Many were guessing if it had filled with pepper or castor oil or some other foul-tasting substance that would make the boy violently sick. It might even be arsenic and he would dead in 10 seconds flat. Or perhaps it would be a booty trapped in the cake and the whole thing would blow up in the moment it was cut. Taking brochure with it, no one in the school put it past the Trunchbull to do any of these things. "I don't want to eat it," the boy said. "Taste it, you little brat," the Trunchbull said. "You're insulting the cook." Very gingerly, the boy began to cut a thin slice with the vast cake. Then he levered the slice out. Then he put down the knife and took the thickest thing in the fingers and stirred it very slowly to eat it. "It's good, isn't it?" the Trunchbull asked. "Very good," the boy said, chewing and swallowing. He finished the slice. "Have another," the Trunchbull said. "That's enough, thank you," the boy murmured. "I said have another," the Trunchbull said, and now there was an altogether sharper edge on her voice. "Eat another slice, do as you're told." "I don't want another slice," the boy said. Suddenly the Trunchbull exploded. "Eat!" she shouted, banging her side with a riding crop. "If you tell you to eat, you will eat. You wanted cake, you stole cake, and now you've got cake. What's more, you're going to eat it. You do not leave this form, and nobody leaves this hall until you have eaten the entire cake while it's sitting there in front of you. Do I make myself clear, Bokchar? Do you get my meaning?" The boy looked at the Trunchbull. Then he looked down at the enormous cake. "Eat! Eat! Eat!" the Trunchbull was yelling. Very slowly the boy cut himself another slice and began to eat it. Matilda was fascinated. "Do you think he can do it?" she whispered to Lavender. "No," Lavender whispered back. "It's impossible. He'll be sick before he has halfway through." The boy kept going. When he had finished the second slice, he looked at the Trunchbull, hesitating. "Eat!" she shouted. "Greedy little thieves who had to eat cake must have cake. Eat faster, boy, eat faster. You don't want to be here all day. And don't stop like you're doing now. Next time you stop before you finish the door, I'll throw the key down the well. You'll go straight to the chalky and I shall lock the door and throw the key down the well." The boy cut a second slice and started to eat it. He finished this one quicker than the other two. When they was done, he immediately picked the knife and cut another slice. It was particular way he seemed to be getting into his stride. Matilda, watching closely, saw no signs of distress the boy yet. If anything, he seemed to be gathering confidence as he went along. "He's doing well," she whispered to Lavender. "He'll be sick soon," Lavender whispered back. "It's going to be horrid." When Bruce Bokchor had eaten the way through the half of the entire enormous cake, he paused for just a couple of seconds and took several deep breaths. The Trunchbull stood with hands on hips. glaring at him. "Get on with it," she shouted. "Eat it up." Suddenly the boy let out a gigantic belch which rolled through the assembly hall like thunder. Many of the audience began to giggle. "Silence!" shouted the Trunchbull. The boy cut himself another 6 slices and started eating fast. There were still no signs of flagging or giving up. He certainly did not look so he was about to stop and cry out, I can't eat any more. I'm going to be sick." He was still in the running. And now a stubble change was coming over the 250 watching the children in the audience. Earlier on they had sensed impending disaster. They had prepared themselves for an unpleasant scene in which the wretched boy, stuffed to the gills with chocolate cake, would have to surrender and beg for mercy, and they would have watched the triumphant Trunchbull forcing more and still more cake into the mouth of the gasping boy. Not a bit of it. Bruce Trotter was 3/4 of the way through and still going strong. One sensed he was almost beginning to enjoy himself. He had a mountain to climb and he was jolly well going to reach the top or die in the attempt. What is more, he now became very conscious of our audience and of how they were all silently rooting for him. This was nothing but a vast battle between him and the mighty Trunchbull. Suddenly someone shouted, "Come on, Brucey, you can make it." The Trunchbull wheeled around and yelled, "Silence!" The audience watched intently. They were all so caught up in the contest. They were longing to start cheering, but they didn't dare. "I think it's going to make it," Matilda whispered. "I think so too," Lavender whispered back. "I wouldn't have believed anyone in the world could eat the whole of a cake like that size." "The Trunchbull doesn't believe it either," Matilda whispered. "Look at her. She's turning redder and redder. She's going to kill him if he wins." The boy was slowing down now. There was no doubt about it. But he kept pushing the stuff into his mouth, and she thought perventions of a long-distance runner was sighted the finish line and knows he must keep going. As the very last mouthful disappeared, a tremendous cheer rose up from the audience, and children were leaping on their chairs and yelling and clapping and shouting, "Well done, Brucey! Good for you, Brucey! You've won a gold medal, Brucey!" The Trunchbull stood motionless on the platform. Her great horsey face had turned the color of a molten lava, and her eyes were glittering with fury. She glared at Bruce Walker, who was sitting in the chair like some huge, overstuffed grub. Replied, "Comatose, I'm there to move or speak." The fine sweat was beading off his forehead, but there was a grin of triumph on his face. Suddenly the Trunchbull leaned forward and grabbed a large empty china platter on which the cake had rested. She raised it high in the air and broke it down with a crash right on the top of the wretched Bruce Bogtrotter's head, and pieces flew all over the platform. The boy was now so full of the cake he was like a sackful of wet cement, and you couldn't have hurt him with a sledge-hammer. He simply shook his head a few times and went on grinning. "Go to blazes!" screamed the Trunchbull, and she marched off the platform following closely by the cook.